Welcome to another episode of Profusion. Today we've got Savannah Banana, Michael Deeb, Michael Vitamin Deeb. What's going on, Mike?
How you doing, Andrew? Thanks for having me on.
Hey, is it? Do you like Mike or Michael? Do you care?
Honestly, a lot of people just call me by my last name, by
Deeb.
Deeb, Deeber, Debo, whatever it is. Like I feel like I never hear Michael unless it's my mom.
So did you get Debo a lot growing up, like from Friday?
I honestly, I don't think it was that reference, but naturally people would just go that route. And then once I learned the reference, I kind of liked it. I was like, oh, okay,
Debo.
I'll take that. This is better than I don't know. Or dweeb. Dweeb's another one
Weeb.
that
Yeah,
if they're
throw the
trying to
W in there.
roast, yeah, if they're trying to roast me. So
Yeah. Is that so tell us a little bit about yourself, Mike. Michael.
yeah, so I went to Notre Dame undergrad. Went and got a master's after
So
I
where
graduated.
is Notre Dame undergrad? Where is that?
South Bend, Indiana.
Oh, okay.
So
So near the
yeah,
college.
yeah.
Oh,
So
no.
yeah,
Undergrad is college.
yeah. So
Yeah.
for undergrad, because I went there for undergrad, and when I graduated early and decided that I no longer wanted to be on the football field, I just wanted to play baseball again after I got my elbow fixed and my nerve moved.
Well, where are you
So
from before that?
Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Okay.
So after going up to the cold, getting a degree done up at Notre Dame, came back to Florida, Daytona Beach, went to Bethune-Cookman, HBCU in Daytona Beach, Florida, and got a master's in organizational leadership there, and then began playing professional ball right after I finished my master's in my last year there. Played in Puerto Rico, played for the White Sox for a little while, played a
Double
few
A,
years.
single A? What
I
level?
was in high A in Winston
Okay.
Salem, and then
Did you get drafted?
I got signed as a free agent after
Okay.
playing my first year in Puerto Rico,
Okay.
and and then uh, and then after a couple years of independent ball, uh, I had done like the few tour shorter seasons that the Bananas had done prior to like the World's Tour last year and again this year, and decided to go with this as it's something that's growing, it's different, it's new, and
Yeah.
it's super exciting.
You guys are like the Jonas Brothers, right? It's like you guys are like the new age rock stars, right?
Yeah, it's like a big boy pop band, but that plays baseball and
Right?
does cool things and has a lot
How
of good
old are you?
time. I'm 29, so
Okay.
I've gone at it a little bit longer. I missed 3 years of baseball in college due to football injury,
Okay.
and at the time, since football was paying my full ride, they had control of my medical situation. They put a brace on my elbow, so even though I didn't have a UCL and couldn't throw a ball 10 feet, I was functional at least for football. So that kind of threw my plans back a little bit in terms of missing those 3 years of college. Like I was really determined to kind of give myself those 3 years back on the back end if I would be able to get back onto a field. And thank God I've been healthy and able to compete and be back on a baseball field.
Yeah. So you played high school baseball, I assume, or high school
Oh yeah,
football, or both.
yeah, both.
Both. And then you got
Mhm.
recruited by Notre Dame.
Yeah.
That's
So
that's that's a big deal. Like, what are their colors? Gold and
blue and gold, gold and
blue and
blue.
gold, right? Like, there's so many
Hmm.
diehard fans, like diehard crazy Notre Dame fans. So you played how many years football there?
Three
3 years. And what position were you?
linebacker.
Okay, so that's where they go and they get the quarterback, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
linebacker lined up, standing about 5 yards off the ball in like kind of like a athletic crouch position,
yeah,
Ray Lewis position.
yeah. So you did
But
that what 3 years? Like first 3 years or last
yeah,
first
yeah,
3?
yeah, the beginning, and then
Well, so what was that like? Did you play with anyone, like anybody know, like we know, or
um, Zach Martin. He's one of the top offensive linemen in the league. He was our left tackle. Ronnie Stanley, the left tackle from the Ravens. Um, Jalen Smith was the linebacker, who's kind of bounced around.
even players
Honestly,
against on the other side? How about on the other side?
Leonard Fournette, Dory Jackson. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, we played Michigan, USC, like all those big schools. So I'd say there was probably at least a top three rounder on pretty much all the big schools usually had a dude or two that was going to be, top few rounds in draft day. And so football wise, it was super cool. It was it kind of like it seemed like whoever is more disciplined and then obviously bigger, faster, stronger usually has more success, especially at the college level. My love in baseball was always like, it's so cool because it doesn't matter if you're big, if you're small, if you're super strong or not. Like, guys hit bombs that are made of all shapes and sizes, and guys throw heat that are made of all shapes and sizes. And so that's why for me, baseball was always cool because how often you get to compete, and then there's not being like a one track formula to, and especially through the lower levels. And a lot of times in college football, you're not really ever going to see Alabama lose to a Murray State in football, but anybody on any given day can beat anybody in baseball, especially if, whoever's pitching that day for one of the teams just finds it and locks it in. You can have a great upset, and nothing's really predetermined. So
I'm getting stuck on this Notre Dame thing. I forgot you played there. So who was the coach there?
yeah, Brian Kelly.
Okay,
Brian Kelly was my head coach.
Is that Chip Kelly or is that no? That's not.
No,
Chip.
different guy, but Brian Kelly is now at LSU.
Okay. Oh,
so, yeah,
they're big time.
Yeah, so he went to LSU a few years ago after Notre Dame, and chasing that national title that didn't get while at Notre Dame, but
he's got all. They're good now. They're LSU is like really good.
They're a top program every year, and they get a ton of athletes. And
so you went from Fort Lauderdale to Notre Dame, and then you go to then you go back, you circle back to baseball, minor leagues. It sounds like low A, and then you get pulled into the Savannah team. Is that how did you get hooked? Like, were they doing the tricks back then, or were they just a minor league team?
So my friend Louis Guillorme, who plays for the Braves, he was in the Mets organization and was on the last team that was the Savannah Sandgnats. So he had followed them on social media and knew what the summer team did. And it was before I was getting ready to go play independent minor league ball for a season. And they had like 4 or 6 games that were going to happen before my season. And at that time, I think only like one trick happened in the 10 games that were 6 games or whatever it was. And it wasn't nearly as developed as it is now, but it was like the start of it. And I thought, I can go get at bats before I go play my season. Like there's a win-win scenario. If I think it's like a clown show and it's not organized and it doesn't work out, it's like whatever, I'm going to get on a baseball field for a couple weeks before I go to my season. This is great. And so that's when I kind of first met Jesse and kind of first saw and heard of the plans that they were pushing. And I, to be honest, didn't know if I believed in it or not at the time, because I didn't know how they would get so many like quality baseball players that are willing and bought into doing all the other extra stuff too. And as time has played out, that's kind of been the mold that has been born into this thing. There's been a lot of great dudes, a lot of achieved dudes on the baseball field that have kind of bought into the product and what it is, and how you go about being fans first every day and playing a baseball game and putting on a show for however many people are there to have the best time that they've ever had at a baseball park. So it's definitely something that is growing exponentially, and it's so different being in any other baseball arena. You've kind of known the rules, the way everything's set up, the schedules. Like, there's so much interchanging and on the fly in what we're doing, but it's also really incredible because it's the first time in a long time, for me at least, that I've been in baseball parks that are packed with a bunch of young kids that are excited as heck to be there, and not necessarily wanting to be at the football or basketball or lacrosse or whatever it is game instead. So I think a lot of kids coming out to the baseball park, really good, and making the game more engaging, fun, and just stimulating for kids that are caught by everything now with phones and all the different technology and video games and everything. We definitely have a few things going on at all times throughout the 2 hour time limit that keep people engaged.
So you guys are in Fresno right now. You mentioned
Yep.
for Fresno, and you're doing a West Coast tour right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So we're on the last leg of it here. We're going Friday, Saturday, Sunday here in Fresno, and then we'll stop in Santa Cruz, and then we play 3 more in Sacramento, and then we will head back for like a day or two, and then go right back to Oklahoma City.
So how many games I mean, there's the world tour, right? That's completely separate. That's bananas only, basically. Nothing to do with independent league or minor league or anything. So how many games have they got you going? I know last year, first year of the world tour, right? Was 2023. Yep.
Okay. I think it totals around right around 80, I believe.
Wow. Okay. And, like half an MLB season. Yeah.
Because I mean, you look at it, it's kind of like the same duration or maybe even a little longer. I mean, like we finish in October, we start mid-end January. And really the only difference is that we've got those, we only play 3 or 4 days a week, and then we've got those travel days and all the other setup and prep days in between. So still time consuming in the way of like a 6-game season, but that's some of the things that I've learned to deal with and kind of adjust away from as well. Is like there is fill in time on the road and different events and community service and different things that we get to engage with the communities and really kind of see each spot that we go a little bit more than when it's standard typical pro ball and you play the 3 games and then you're out. And after that 3rd game, you're on an overnight bus wherever you're going next. You play the 3 games and you're out, and you just kind of keep rolling. We've had some of those extra days built in and got to see some cool things and do some cool stuff in our off time and ultimately I don't think we'd want to do the 6-game a week schedule with how much extra goes on in terms of preparation and then just
wait, you got 6 games now? No, that's
no. Yeah, so I'm saying compared to the normal MLB season, having those buffer days is kind of big for in terms of the preparation and then just.
So what does the schedule look like for like you guys? Are you like, do you have workouts together? Do you have training together? Is it like every day? What does that look like? I mean, obviously you're on tour, so it can vary, but like, I guess it's kind of hard to say.
So I mean, if it's a Savannah day, a little bit more organized and a little bit more meeting time than per se on the road. It's a little bit more makeshift depending on what we have available and or when our games are and how that's going to work out. But typically it'll be a meeting for anywhere from an hour to 2, kind of going over the previous games.
Yeah, do you do like a whole game, like a whole like game without fans there?
We'll do game review. So that first day after whatever last string of games, like we'll do game review highlights.
Like video, like they put you in a video room?
Yeah, basically like we'll break down the film, things that went well, moments that, they thought were really entertaining that weren't necessarily scripted in, but like a good use of like, hey, here's the camera's on you after doing this and you did this well or did this well, or hey, that wasn't a good idea. And then just some of the like highlights of the best trick plays, highlights of the best like hardest hits, like just stuff like that to kind of keep us moving in terms of just playing ball well and doing that right. And then usually we'll go into like a OTT meeting, which would be another 30 minutes to an hour of they'll give us buckets, which would be where what topics we're going after in terms of our ideas. For maybe it's run scoring celebrations or a strikeout celebration, wherever they want us to go in terms of pushing those creative ideas, we'll go through that, and then we'll get out on the field for about half hour or so, and then kind of plug those in. and okay, this is how it would look like. It needs to be one of X people scoring if they have a like special like acrobatic thing that they can do or something that kicks it off. We kind of figure out all that stuff, and then we would from there after that we'd break it into a normal practice where it's just like BP individuals, long toss, live throwing bullpens, like anything like a normal, I'd say like spring training day for a minor league team. The only difference being that everything's going to be geared towards like banana ball rounds. So like BP, we might do like quick pitch rounds to try to prepare for guys that are going to do a bunch of quick pitches and stuff like that. In our like in our normal like team defense where a coach is hitting a fungo and we're making plays, like a lot of times it'll be all tricks. So basically just to get used to trying to turn everything into a trick and making it banana ball version of how we're trying to play defense and stuff. So
you guys are selling a ton of merch. You're selling out every stadium. Like Jesse's like must be getting super rich, right? Is there a trickle down coming down to the players? Are they starting? I'm sure like when you started out, you were getting like pennies on the dollar. Like is my
for sure.
But
yeah,
so,
there's definitely.
Are you getting paid like MLB numbers yet, or?
No, there's definitely room to grow, and I think definitely with more work and more growth and everything we're capable to kind of continue a steady ascension in that way. Ultimately, what has happened though with the growth of all the social branding and stuff, a lot of guys have been able to use like name, image, and likeness to get a lot of promotional deals or partnerships with companies and different things of that nature. So that's an area I could definitely be better on in terms of posting and social media and stuff. It just growing up and kind of the view of it and everything in my household and what my parents wanted and everything, it was a little different from that. But obviously recognizing the value in it now and the way everything's shifting, it's really smart to grow your brand that way. And
for sure, build your personal brand, right? Build your vitamin D brand.
Exactly. Build who you are as a person and everything outside of just being, a banana or a baseball player or whatever it is that you do. It's definitely something positive. So definitely a balance in terms of that. And but I mean, we eat better than you're fed in the minor leagues and stay in nicer hotels. And we don't have any 11 plus hour bus rides. We'll have some decent bus rides, but the longer trips we take flights. And so it's definitely something that's interesting and honestly incredible with the size of the company that obviously it's growing a ton, but how they're able to navigate all these new things that go into creating the budgets for basically every different area and not having the experience doing it before is really interesting and something that I don't have answers for all the things, but something I think about a lot just because an MLB team has run X amount of seasons or whatever. They kind of know how they're going to do all their hotels, their flights, everything is kind of repeatable through, all the rules that have been set and kind of the way they've run organizations in the MLB for years. But this is something that's new and something that they're figuring all this out on the go and something that's it's super interesting to see both sides the curiosity as just like
what is a banana gross revenue? Do you have any idea?
No, I mean there's
you guys crack 100 mil yet?
I have no idea because there's definitely
who knows
a lot of it's so hard to say because there's not I mean like you hear things and merch numbers and things that happen and go on and stuff and it's like blown away, but like to be honest, being that we're running around preparing and getting ready to put on the show and engaging with fans and everything else like that, we kind of miss a lot of those like in terms of the merch tents and what they're doing and what's going on and everything else. But I definitely know it's not a loss and it's definitely not something that is that's negative or not trending in a growth and positive trend, but
Yeah. Well, it's like a fraternity, right? So like, is that what it's like? Like, like you're in the banana.
yeah.
Is the banana the party animals, and you guys are they traveling together on this
The,
tour, or are you
y-
playing local teams, or?
yeah, so they're travel with us, and then the firefighters start this month, and then the visitors next month, and so they'll mix in some games and play some, and then like for example, there's a time where like we're playing separate, like the party animals are going to play the firefighters in Vegas, and I think we'll be back in Savannah. Um, so the growth happening in that way and kind of trickling.
How do you get? I mean, you got to be like celebrities, right? So how do you get treated in Savannah? Do people like kind of like love on you there, or is it like they just see you all the time?
People there, it depends where you go and what people's connection is. Like there's some of
Yeah,
the people that are just true like original fans of that, like the history at that stadium and real baseball being played there and like that
yeah,
whole thing.
yeah.
And then there's also the like fans that are love what's going on, love what's new. But definitely I would say just being a little bit more like having the physical presence and being a bigger dude. Like a lot of places I'll go, if they don't know bananas or something, they'll be like, "Oh, you an athlete? Like where you got to play something.
Dude,
Oh, you play for the
I'll wear
Savannah
this.
Bananas."
I'll wear this, and they think I'm a banana. Like they're
Yeah,
like, "Oh,
no,
you
it's
like the bananas?" I'm like, "Yeah,"
yeah,
and then I
yeah,
just walk
no,
away.
yeah, it's definitely something that like I've always been like super social and kind of chill in terms of like I don't mind engaging with all the kids in the airports or when we go to different hotels and there's other people or that are going to go to the game or something and they're staying at the same hotels and they want to chat and stuff.
Right.
It like most people are super kind and nice, and a lot of times it's just kids that want to ask like silly questions about like stilts or how he hits and how this happens and how that happens, and so it's pretty cool. Kind of see how that attention goes. And
Isn't your jersey in Cooperstown? Is that correct? That's
yes,
crazy.
yes, sir. That was something that's super
That's pretty
cool.
cool.
Yeah, especially so one of the main teams that I coach back home, is Barwish Dragons team. They're 12U this year, and they're going to go to Cooperstown, so they'll get to go
Go see
see
it.
the jersey, and they all got to sign it when we played down in West Palm Beach. So they'll get to see their signatures in the hall when they take a trip through Cooperstown this summer. So I'm super proud about that and excited about that because obviously like not originally setting a goal of being an MLB player and not getting there, and just
This
being
is
able to still
probably
be on
better,
that
dude.
team.
This is probably better.
It has been like a dream that you can never imagine that you fall
Yeah.
into, and then uh, like just having a platform to impact people through the game and positively inspire is something that's super cool and something that is super fun because again like what we're doing there's no really like prerequisite or everybody always asks like how did you get involved with this, how did you, and it's kind of one of those things where everybody has their unique story of how they got involved. There's no really true like how'd you go to the MLB? Well, this person went like practiced really hard, played travel ball, went to a high school, then went to a college team, then boom, 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 boom. Like everybody's got a cool background and obviously started in the game of baseball and playing somewhere at a pretty good level. But
If you ever hang it up or whatever, you'll be able to write a book and do speaking engagements and stuff like that.
just
You'll
get
be all right.
involved. Yeah, it's something that's definitely ever changing, growing, and
Right.
super cool to be a part of the ride for, and especially being youth coaching in the off season because majority of those kids I've
When
gotten
is your
to
off season? You said so it's October to January, so you don't get really any time, right?
yeah, this time around it's definitely a lot shorter, and that's something that's interesting too because um, being this being the first year that we're on 12-month contracts, and kind of how that will look for the future and everything else, it may require or call for some more permanent living situations in Savannah and just how the time commitment will look like going forward. Being that last year was a long season as well, but I think it was like 8 months, and we were on like an 8-month contract, so there was definitely a lot more
Pay you well?
downtime.
Did they pay you well, or is it like? okay?
It's more than you'll make in minor league baseball without being on a 60-man roster. So, in
What's
general,
the
across
60-man roster? MLB?
yeah, well, so if you're on the 60-man, you're like on an extension of the MLB roster, which is like not, you're basically eligible to be called up at any point. But there's only like the 25-man is like the actual active
And you
MLB
guys
player.
6 figures or
No, no,
no?
we're not there yet. We're not there yet. I mean, well, I guess it depends what all because now we do get 10% of our jersey sales,
Okay.
and so
Hey, that's
there's yeah, so there definitely is, I guess, the possibility, especially some of the guys that really push harder on social media and have bigger followings, like they potentially may be able to get there for sure.
yeah. Jeez, I don't even got you at 6. Whatever.
I mean, it's one of those things that like as a competitive, just like young entrepreneur and wanting to like grow, it's something that is definitely like a balance mentally, and of where you like value yourself and see your worth and what you think you should earn and what you shouldn't. But
Yeah.
ultimately, I think, um, regardless of what that is now, and although like my uh, just being a young person that wants to be financially in a very comfortable place to have freedom of time and do what I want with my future family, like that's something that is in general, since deciding post college not to just hang up the sports and kind of go into the business world, it's been something that has been like an interesting balance for me to weigh
Yeah, does it
mentally.
pay enough
But
to like support a family, I guess, is like kind of the $1 million question, right?
yeah, and I mean, definitely not there yet.
Yeah.
But having a girlfriend that plays professional tennis and is still like, yeah,
Who's this?
she Quinn Gleason. So we met at Notre Dame, and
Yeah.
she's actually playing in Bonita Bay in Florida right now. But
Okay.
she's played Wimbledon, she's played the U.S. Open, and so we've both kind of been in our sports careers chasing that while we have. And so I definitely think that because she's
Is
still
she, is
playing
she
as
ranked?
well, and
Is
yeah,
she ranked? What is she ranked?
she's so she just started coming off a wrist injury. She just started focusing on only doubles because her game set is a little bit uh, more fit to doubles. And I think she's like 97, 98 in doubles in the world. So she's climbing up there, and definitely something that I think now that for a long time, she was playing like where she'd get in singles and doubles. Now she's going to just some of the bigger tournaments to play only doubles. And that's definitely helped the ranking go up quickly and kind of grow in that. But yeah, I think ultimately the just our ability to have like priceless experiences now on athletic playing fields, and even if we don't feel like, hey, we're monetarily getting the return on that, there's definitely invaluable like experiences and just impact that we've had on kids and messages and things that just kind gifts and stuff from fans that like show that you're doing something good and you're doing something that is impactful in a positive light. So it's definitely something not to be taken
We,
for
we need to
granted.
build out like the Deeb nutrition bar, the Deeb t-shirts. We got to
Hmm.
build the brand around Deeb, right?
Yeah, right. There's definitely a way to, especially in the downtime, get more creative with how we can leverage their brand supporting us and
Yeah.
being a positive light and kind of getting creative in our own ways because we're definitely close. I definitely
I
think
can't believe they don't
we're
pay you guys 6 figures. That's crazy.
I mean, I just focus on my role because
Yeah.
again, there's so many. What I think is not what is necessarily like. Again, I don't have all these numbers, or I don't know what goes into making the budget and how it's fully made, like all through and through.
Yeah.
So, what I can think and guesstimate and think would make sense
Well, how
is
many guys are there? You got like what, 20 on each team, or how many people are there? 40
20, yeah, 40 ish, low 40s.
total?
Right now, yeah. And then you got the firefighters but they're on like a 2 month contract because they only come in and play like 20 games. And then the other guys are on like a month contract because they only come in and play like 10 or 12. So there's the party animals and the bananas who are on 12-month
So you got a
contracts.
girlfriend, but you must have like
Mhm.
all these women throwing themselves at you.
I mean, that's something that I like with college sports and college football and all that. Like, that's definitely a lifestyle and something that is just kind of like not current for me, and not like even like I'm sure there's like epic stories of times going out and stuff on the road and stuff with this, but like to be honest, I don't really like. I hang with the teammates and we've got a great group of guys, but like probably not gonna find me at a bar.
Who's your
Probably
best
no.
friend on the team?
Um, I wouldn't say I have a best friend
Two
necessarily.
or three?
Yeah, I mean, I room with Bill Leroy and Dan Oberst a lot.
Okay.
But I mean, just there's a lot of good dudes. I generally, um, some of the guys that have had more experience and spend a little bit longer time around, just having known them for a little bit longer and spent more time around them.
Well, you're like an
Uh,
OG. You've been there like 7 years, right?
since the beginning of the first tour, yeah.
What do you think
And
about all
then
these new guys coming through? Because we go to the game and there's like all these new players. You like, they're
yeah,
cool.
I mean, yeah, it's part of like in every job they're trying to replace you and find somebody better that does what you do, but better. I mean, no, like in all like that's what I think makes the country great. Competition, everything. Like if
Yeah,
they can find somebody cheaper that will do what you do better, like that, like you're gonna you're
yeah.
gonna you're gonna go after that. You're gonna find the best possible product you can affordably. And in reality, I think that the way they choose who they bring in is something like however they do it is phenomenal, because they don't bring in guys where like, you know, the general group looks around and it's like, are you kidding me? You got that coming in? Like a lot of I mean, a lot of dudes that are just really selfless and generous. And to be honest, especially with how many like single non-fathers we have, like in my experience, they're just guys that are 22 to 30 aren't necessarily, if they don't have kids of their own, like aren't always like the most outgoing to be like, let me engage with young kids or little kids. Like there's a very unique way that they've found a bunch of young dudes in their 20s and most that don't have kids that are absolutely in love with people and just, you know, pouring into others, because that's one thing that I think is definitely unique, like compared to other teammates I've had in the past with baseball.
So yeah, we go to baseball games. The kids ask the pros for the autograph, right? So we got
Mm-hmm.
like VIP. I think it was even maybe our first or second game, and we go in and we meet you, and you're like, "Will you sign my shirt?" And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, "Holy shit!" Like,
Mm-hmm.
that was like, I was like, "Oh my god, this guy's asking my kid for his like." You flipped it, like it was
Yeah.
flipped, and I was like, "There's something different. This is different." I was like,
No, yeah, that was
this is
something
crazy.
that was cool, and that's kind of what like once I
Fans first.
yeah, fans first. Like I was bought into to what they were doing, and then I also saw the avenue for some of what we were doing also being a little bit like almost like Chippendale baseball
Yeah.
boys kind of things.
So
And
that is another thing. I'm like, is that like too much? You know what I mean? Like chipping. It's like
yeah,
borderline. Like, are we running?
well, that's where I think it's super interesting the way we balance entertainment and kind
Yeah,
of each
it's
team,
close
each
sometimes, right?
yeah, each team's brand and kind of how we navigate that and go about it. It's interesting, but I also think that like one thing that I was doing, like one, I wanted to engage and impact kids through this. So that's one way that like the general population of fans that I engage with is going to be the kids.
Right.
But then also it created value for my jersey, and then my jersey remaining on my body, which was really important to me because again, like I feel like I have worked really hard my whole life and wanted to develop a lot of skills and stuff. I didn't want to create attention off of just like, hey, let me go rip my jersey off and play some baseball and like try to gain popularity that way.
Right.
So that being something that is like a dual.
It's like a fine line of the Chippendales versus wholesome. It's like, all right,
Right.
with what's coming today, I don't know.
Yeah. And I think that's
I don't know what
like,
to do.
yeah, I think some of that is like TikTok culture and just like having a ton of young people in the organization that like have really good creative ideas, but we don't necessarily have quite as many of the elderly crowd or just like super like multi-generation uh idea sessions. It's dominated by a lot of young people, which again, like, I mean, I don't have kids, but there's just like a lot of things in high school and college that I would think is like super funny, but then like you get a little bit older and you're like, ooh, I probably shouldn't do that or say that here. And then like that awareness kind of grows and grows and grows. We definitely play, like, I think one thing is like eventually where teams build out their home and like branding, like the party animals, and if they end up being like a Vegas style team and everything, I think like they can be the ones that own a whole lot of that stuff, and you don't
That's true.
necessarily get, you don't feel cross branded or cross anything. But that's why I like some of the stuff, like I would question just at the times, because it would be like, we'd have a little girl come out and do a fan warm up and then follow it with, shirtless dudes doing this and things.
Yeah.
And so it is, again, it's something that it's like, okay, you want to do something new each and every single time you go out on the ball field, and you're constantly just spitballing all these different ideas and trying to come up with new stuff and funny stuff and things that are entertaining, and like what sticks, what plays well, what doesn't play so well, what's not only good for the live crowd but also the social crowd, that like they're taking all this content and how they're going to repurpose that onto the internet and kind of gain marketing and visual awareness there. It's something, again, that there's definitely a formula to it and how it's done and how it's done well, but like so much of it is new and trying things and scratching it. No, that worked or that didn't. So
It's managing disruption, essentially.
yeah.
That's what it is. Because
Hmm.
that's what they are. It's
Hmm.
disruptive. It's like almost, it's not like live, but it's kind of like live golf to an extent.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's disruptive to the other leagues. So,
Hmm.
so what's the biggest stadium you've played in so far? I know they're getting kind of big now these days. Like you're playing in front of a lot of fans.
Astros, Minute Maid.
How many?
Yeah.
How many were there?
40 something.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the exact number, but that was definitely a first MLB sold out field. That was definitely an
And you get
experience.
to, that's cool. You get to use those cool facilities, like
Yeah.
nice grounds, nice dugout,
Yeah.
nice locker
Oh
room.
yeah. Yeah.
Throwing you
It's
swag, I'm sure you get all the fresh gear.
yeah, there's definitely in terms of like bucket lists and memories and all that. There's
Yeah,
definitely a lot of those made
priceless.
through.
They can't. Yeah,
Right. So that, like, again, that's the balance of like, again, where it's like you can get frustrated in your own self or like monetary earnings at times or different things of where you're at in one place, but then like there's also the priceless moments that like, when would you ever have played at Minute Maid, sold
no, you
out
know how much
crowd,
that would cost somebody? Like it
had
takes
the
5 mil to rent that
experience.
place out,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Right. And so it's something that like it's got the give and the take and like how you value all that. And obviously the best way to feel fulfilled and happy through all of it is just kind of focusing on those experiences that impact people, and where kids, say something that's super positive, and what the impact that you had on them, because ultimately that was like Miguel Cabrera when I was 10 at a Marlins game between innings. Like I'm sitting behind, like they have like the whatever bat boy or whatever dude that would play catch with them between innings. And then like he started playing catch with me uh, between innings. And I was like 10 or 11 at a baseball game with my dad. And after that, like once like I'm throwing to him, hitting him in the chest, he's whizzing it back to me, I can catch it. Like it put that in my mind that like this was tangible. That guy's no different than me. He's just having fun playing a game, and like he's taking the time to play some catch with me. Like immediately that kind of like my work ethic, the time, the hours I put in, how obsessed I became with it, like just went boom. And so like if I can kind of be that or provide some of that inspiration to the next person, then I've done my job in terms of the game, because ultimately like I just love seeing people work their butt off and get after whatever they're interested in and whatever drives them, whatever their passion is. And, God's given me some talents to do it on different athletic playing fields, but most recently and currently on a baseball field and getting to have that impact. And so I'm grateful. It's something that's super cool. And again, like I'm also like just blown away by the business growth and the direction that all that's going to go, and like what's next, you know?
Yeah, what is next? Who knows? Well, it looks like they're starting to kick out a league, right? Like testing,
Yeah,
is there a league here potentially?
right. I definitely could see that. We're doing the cruise at the end of this tour. That's something that's different. Um, which is, I think, a brilliant idea there. Like that, it's just, yeah, there's so much um, different ways you can take it in different avenues. The only thing about the cruise, I think it would have been really cool if we got to play a game. That
On the
would be,
cruise, home run
well,
derby.
or like if when we got to the Bahamas, if we played like a team down there or something, like
Yeah,
like just some kind
like a
of like,
Dominican team.
yeah, something that we get to,
Where's
only
the
just
cruise?
because that's,
Where is the cruise to?
I think the Bahamas. Yeah,
How much is the cruise? How much, or is it like sold out already? He's like,
I think it's like 90% sold out. And to be honest, I I don't even know, because I didn't even like because then my mind would start doing numbers, and then I would probably start thinking through things. So I have no idea what the pricing could be. I have no
Steve gets
idea.
to go on a cruise.
Yeah, I know I
You
will
get
be
to
on
bring
a
your
cruise.
girlfriend.
Yeah, I'll be on a cruise with a bunch of my teammates and fans that love us, and get to hang out with them and entertain and do some fun stuff. And
When
yeah,
is that cruise? When did you say?
October. It's right after we play the Miami game, and then I think there's like a day in between, and then it takes off. I want to
Nice.
say it's like the middle of October. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Yeah, I just
Mhm.
Google it, I guess, right? Just Google Savannah Banana Cruise.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
selling tickets now.
Dude, I wish I could.
Yeah.
I should have found a way to buy like 50 tickets ahead of time, and then just
Yeah.
start
You need your own merch. Do you have like
getting
exclusive,
them
like you
right.
can't sell your own merch, or like can you sell your own? You can sell your own merch, right?
Yeah. As long as like same thing with the shirts that I have and everything. Like you can do all that stuff. You just as long as you're not using like logos,
Yeah.
pictures, any of their stuff to promote your stuff, which is like typical among like sports. Like Steph Curry, if he does a commercial, like he can't be wearing Warrior stuff and
Mm.
wherever else. Like he would be wearing his own brand of things, or no logos or things that like I did a commercial with a law firm, and like it was like Michael Vitamin D baseball player, but it can't say like Savannah Bananas,
Really?
whatever.
Hmm.
That's the way they steer. I didn't like their compliance, whatever, in our front office. Like they've touched down and figured out the wording and all that stuff. To be honest, with
All marketing is good marketing, right?
yeah, I didn't really have like I just again it was the opportunity to make something on the side and promote in a local firm. So
Yeah.
I took the opportunity, but
So do they have banana in training yet for the kids?
banana in training, they
BIT.
will.
Should we just
they
start a BIT camp?
Yeah, honestly, I mean that's what
There's the money.
you got the kids camps that um
Teach them the tricks.
do really well. But yeah, get I think that's something that's super cool though. Honestly, like kids now, even like the simplest tricks and stuff of them trying like it's just heightening the like proprioception and the um hand-eye coordination skills that like
Well, it's
if you
disruptive, and it's just disruptive because if you can make a play between your legs, why not do it in an MLB game? Who cares? Like, it's going to
right.
be the same amount of percentages as in front of you as between your legs or whatever, except now you're entertaining, right?
Mhm.
That's what these
Yeah,
guys are in MLB. They're just entertainers to an extent, you
for
know?
sure. Sports in general. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like storytelling and entertainment. I think the hardest part is like we're not necessarily incentivized on tricks right now. It would be hard like that would probably be the only way in the MLB you can get people to rip out tricks, because if a guy, is like, hey, I'm paid to help this team win and I help the team winning like this, it's like, you want me to take a risk now and catch a fly ball behind my back or whatever else, like where's the reward on the other end of successfully doing it, and like how does that work? And that's where I feel like it can get tricky, because then it's like you got Giancarlo Stanton or whatever, and like they're just like, oh, I'm just here to hit home runs and doubles, and it's like, is he going to try that trick? Well, maybe if there's a dollar sign on the other end of successfully doing it, or
Yeah,
like a
that's true.
pool of like how would you incentivize MLB players to want to do the trick, whereas like here it's like, so knowing
Well,
that
look at
you're in a
Nasty
different
Nestor,
arena.
right?
Yeah,
Nasty Nestor on the Yankees, like,
yeah,
kid, that's awesome. Look what he's doing
yeah,
with it. He's,
yeah,
I want to watch the guy,
yeah. He's entertaining, and he's also doing what, like, pitching is upsetting timing, hitting is getting yourself on time. Like, when you're doing all that wacky stuff, it's really hard to become uh, like repeatable and cyclical, and so then guys have a harder time timing you up. Like some of these guys that have the cleanest and most repeatable mechanics, like if they don't have a second pitch that day, sometimes they're throwing 95, 96 and they're just getting lit up, and guys are like, what? And it's just like, well, it's very deliberate. And if they're not like throwing an off speed or something to get you, like you're able to sync them up and time them up. Where like Nasty Nestor, like you said, he's not throwing anything by people like these other guys that are throwing 95 to 100. He's throwing maybe max effort 91, but he's,
yeah, tricks.
up, down, in and out. Like you're sitting there like, wait,
Yeah,
what do I?
he's being scrappy.
Yeah. I
Just,
like it. Love a
yeah,
good scrappy, just freaking dog getting
yeah.
after it.
I'm glad he got the opportunity at least, because you could have said, "Oh no, we don't want a guy that does that." You know what I mean? Like they could have scrubbed him. But,
Right. Well, not just that. You put a guy like that out there and then bring the guy that throws in 98 or 96 after him, then
yeah,
it's like that at bat, you haven't seen anything. If he gets through the lineup 2 or 3 times and now it's the sixth inning and you've gone to the plate 2 or 3 times already and you haven't seen a pitch over 92, and then all of a sudden guy comes out just pumping it. It's not like, it's like now it almost helps the next guys after you, because you're just constantly changing speed, timing, and as a hitter, it makes it a lot harder to like have a comfortable day in the box of being like, okay, I'm generally timing up like the same speeds, areas, shape.
yeah. All right. Thank you, Vitamin Deeb, Michael Vitamin Deeb. Thanks for coming on, man.
Heck yeah, of course.
Anything else you want to share? Last
Anything.
minute, last final thoughts, inspiration here. Probably the parents of all the kids that come here see you.
I'm just excited to see what Sammy does, because like I didn't have anything like this at this age, and I don't know what I would have thought of it or how I would have reacted to it. But it's super cool because obviously, I mean, he's got golf and other interests, but like where his passion in baseball and how that's going to be shaped and formed and everything is like super cool. And
The challenge is, first of all, what I like about the bananas, because baseball is very serious outside of bananas, right? It's like there's so many people fishing out of the same pond in baseball pond, right?
Yeah.
There's so many people, and then it's serious, and then there's the dad ball aspect. Have you heard of this dad ball aspect? You know what I mean? Like if you're the coach, you put your kids, in the certain positions rather than having it is what it is. You know what I mean? So that's why we like the bananas, because it kind of diffuses the seriousness of baseball. And we're like, okay, yeah, it's supposed to be fun. Let's not take this as seriously as we do. It's just supposed to be fun.
Well, especially for the young kids that like the smarter, in my opinion, like the smarter kids that can understand and conceptualize the failure that comes with the game, if they have a serious approach to it at a young age, like there's not going to be enough gratification that's going to make them want to keep doing it, because even if they're good, they're still going to fail more than they succeed. And especially when they have good grades and they're used to studying for a test and getting the good grade when they study and prepare. And like that's not how baseball works. You might study, go perfect, hit a ball 105 and it go right to the center fielder and he catches it and you're out.
Right.
And now you're like, what the hell? I didn't get a hit. But
Right.
you got parents on Game Changer talking about stats of a child. And it's like, and the same thing, like they're asking me, well, what were your stats? And then when I didn't know my stats, it didn't matter. I just knew that when I got up to the box, the outfield moved back or they didn't. And like those were the ways like you knew
because you're a big guy. It's the eyeball test, right? Like if you're a big guy, they move back regardless. It's like baseball's a big eyeball test, and that is a problem for Sammy because they're like, oh, he's not very big, so he doesn't really, they don't.
Right. So why not create a culture where it's like the only thing that matters is that kid goes to high school and all they want to do is practice and get better and develop their skills in baseball. Because until then, it's truly just whoever hits puberty first. It doesn't matter. Like there's going to be the kid that shoves, and it's so funny. Like all my friends, we joke around about who was that guy on our team, and one of them he coaches with me now, or with the Barwis team back home, and he jokes around. He's like, I was the same size at 12 that I am now. And he still played Division I and played minor leagues and everything. He was a catcher, but he talked about how his career changed because of the way he had to learn and approach the game from not being the guy that can throw harder than everybody that could do all that stuff, because that obviously diminished as he, continued on and people grew around him. Right. But it's funny because I gave the 12U team the poem, The Indispensable Man, and basically a poem, a phenomenal poem about basically just doing the best you can and being proud of yourself, but understanding that like there's no indispensable man. And it's funny how many parents I offended and how many conversations I had to have because of it and all this stuff, and how it's not good for the kids to think that and see it and blah, blah, blah. And it's funny because it's the truth. And that's all I tried to express to them is the team's going to go on whether you're on the team or not. If you get hurt, there's going to be somebody else that comes and replaces you and plays for you. You're going to see that in high school, college, any team aspect, any arena, anything. So let's acknowledge that. Let's be the best we can. And then beyond that, let's just have a ton of fun trying to develop ourselves into the best competitors and players with the most diverse skill set. So that way we have the opportunity to get on the field as much as possible. You say daddy ball and things, like when parents tell me that a child who hasn't hit puberty and is not a grown man is a second baseman or is a this or is a that, it's almost like a joke. It's like, actually, no, your child's a right-handed swinging baseball player. Let's make them a utility. That means if they're swinging the stick, they can get on the field. They have 8 opportunities to get it in the lineup instead of 1, because there's always going to be that situation where the starting second baseman or the starting this person, was highly touted or whatever that. But it's like, if you're a diverse skill set player and you can bump over to third or second or first or right or left, it's travel ball and youth baseball.
So I think you hit a key point is what I heard in hindsight from a lot of old timers comes down to athleticism, right? Just building that athleticism, whether, because a lot of these people who go pro, they could have potentially gone pro in a number of sports, right? This just helped them build their athleticism, and then they chose a sport, right? So kind of utility player where they can play third, second, whatever position. So that's kind of how I sort of see it. Baseline is giving him a good athletic foundation, which I could argue they're the most athletic sport. I think that's a good argument in my opinion. What is more athletic? But I don't know.
Honestly, I think you're exactly right in that. You take a baseball player, it's a different plane of movement. Football players are some of the beastliest physical specimens, but if you put them in other athletic arenas, a lot of times they may look silly because there's not as much rotating and transverse planes like that takes to throw a ball, to swing a bat, to hit. But and now everybody wants to train everything. So it's like we've got youth baseball players that are playing 100 games a year, and then they're off time, they're training for it and everything. Like I didn't do that. I played like 3 or 4 sports year round, and then like my training to get better at infield and everything was lateral movement on a basketball court playing defense.
Right.
And then I can feel ground balls better. And now it's like everything's become so.
Yeah, one coach was like, Sammy's footwork is amazing. And I'm like, yeah, because he does ladder drills in tennis every other day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, these other kids don't. None of them play tennis.
Right.
I'm like,
right. And that's
but that's the cross training part of it. Yeah, the cross training is important, and it is what it is. Whatever comes of it, and later on, like you said, they hit puberty. A lot of these kids I grew up with, a lot of these kids peaked at 12, right? They got 6 foot at age 12 years old, and they grew another inch or 2 since then. And that was it. They were the best in the league. And then it kind of just went downhill because everybody caught up, what I mean? So yeah, it's tough. It's life.
It's life. And like, ultimately the goal is that they get to high school and that's what they want to do. The experience up to that point has made them say, okay, like I want to really push hard at this and try to do it in college. And I think that's kind of that was my experience. And that was kind of how I became obsessed with it. So then in high school, some of those other distractions or things that could deter me from, getting college scholarships or just being a high achiever, like were pushed to the wayside because I developed that passion for it. And a lot of that was stemmed around just loving to compete and learning to be a really good competitor. And like you said, develop athleticism, but there's never like this, some of what goes on now in baseball and just companies exploiting the opportunity to cash a check on youth baseball. But I mean, like the amount of people that are bragging to me that their kid he's 11 and he hit X amount on the radar gun and whatever. And I'm like, cool, sick.
Yeah.
What does that translate to? Like, oh, congrats, you guys got the plastic trophy at the whatever 11U Sunshine superhero, whatever, like that. Like that's great. And that's all super cool. Like no one's going to ask for a radar gun number probably until he's a junior in high school. And then hopefully it'll say something around 90 to try to get him an opportunity then. But it's what we're focused on and what we're consumed with in youth baseball. That's something that being on the Bananas, playing banana ball and everything, I'm super grateful for because if we can loosen the kids' mindsets up towards it and kind of get more exciting engagement for the sport and not some of that just anxiety and tightness that travel ball takes over.
That's what's happening. It's so serious. That's what I like about the Bananas. It was like diffusing that seriousness and just not serious. And that's what I like about it.
Especially hardworking parents that like, I would see them and I'm like, wow, you look at them and some of them are nervous right now, or some of them are tight on their off day at their child's extracurricular event that they're like, they're just in the sun playing. And I'm like,
more tense than they were at work.
Yeah. I'm like, why? It's like, this is your off day. This is this isn't your Monday grinding out a deal at work or is that? So it's like, I'm like, dang, let's create the good environment. So it's something that is super fun doing the youth coaching in the off seasons for me because I've kind of learned and prepared and now have some ideas and things that one day when I'm a dad, if I've got children that are playing sports, like how I kind of want to navigate that and go about it.
Take notes. Take notes along the way. Write your book, Deeb. Write your book.
Yes.
All right, Deeb. Thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for being so flexible, and I appreciate it. And we'll talk soon. And heck yeah, brother.
Took a while to track it down. All right, brother.
Yep. Enjoy the day.